I've been working on the Life of a Creator Collaboration Savings Challenge book for several months now, and I think I'm going to finish it, but there's only one way to find out if I'll be successful. Are you ready? Let's go! Welcome back to Ready Budget Go. My name is Drew, and here on this channel we talk about household budgeting, saving money, and achieving our financial goals. So if any of those sound like something that you vibe with, please consider subscribing, hit the like button, and leave me a comment down below, because I'd love to hear from you. So this week I'm really going to try to finish The Life of a Creator. I try to put about $100 each week into it. Usually it's a little more than that. So if I get close to finishing and I'm right at $100, I may just keep going. We're also going to do $100 into Happy Hallowealth, and we're going to start a new challenge in the Paint by Sticker Savings book, along with some more story time. So without further ado, let me set these two books aside, and I will start with The Life of a Creator. Now, in the past, we started with The Booty Bank, which was all the way at the end of the book, but we finished that last week. So this week, we are starting on, wherever I put the page marker, 25 to Thrive. So this challenge is by Taylor Louise, and this is a habit tracker challenge. And I don't really use habit trackers, so the habit that I'm tracking is that every time I get to this challenge, I save $5 and check off a cloud. So this week is no different. I am going to check off a cloud, and I am going to save $5. And there may come a point when I just decide to start finishing challenges rather than keep going through the book, but for now, we'll just keep going in order and cycling through. Okay, so up next is the bonus challenge. This comes with the book when you order it from Marlene, or at least it did for me. So this, I've decided, is a D20 roll. You also get a set of dice when you order it from Marlene at Snow Gardener 307. And you get 7 dice in total, from a D4 all the way up to a D20. You don't get to pick your color, so I got this black color, which is fine with me. I have no complaints about black. So I am going to give this die a roll, and we'll see how much we save for this challenge. Okay, so we've got 13. So let's do 10, 12, 13. And I'm going to write in a 13. So we've had mostly big numbers here, but I've only done this 4 times. So, all right, on to the next. So now it's time to finish the $50 plus dice roll. This is by pinkycloth.co. And the way I've been doing this is I've been rolling a d6, and every time it matched one of the pink numbers, I just crossed it off and saved that amount. And if I ran out of the pink numbers, I just used the dice roll squares. So I've got one more die roll here left to do. So let me get out the d6. I should have left this bag open, but I didn't. So there's the d6. We'll give it a roll. We got a 5, so I'm going to put back 15 and take out a 20. 10 and 5 goes in, and a 20 comes out. And I will write in $5. And cross this off with the other side of the marker here. Okay, and then this challenge is complete, so it will get a challenge completed sticker. These do not come with the book, but you can get them from my Etsy shop, linked down in the description. And I'm just going to stick this right here. Okay. All right, so that one is done. Let's move on to the next challenge. This one's done. These 2 are done. Oh, was there one more? Yeah, there's 2 more in here, including mine. But let's start with the Rock and Roll Queen. So we are on the D4 because we've done all of the others. So let me get out the D4. Again, it comes with the book when you buy it. And I will also link Marlene's website down below where you can get this if you'd like your own. Give it a roll. And we got a 2. So I'm going to write bigger than I did last time. I'll write a bigger number, 2. And I will put back 3 and take a 5. All right, next let's move on to my challenge. This is Buster's Bangin' Burger Bar. And at Buster's Bangin' Burger Bar, you can have any topping on your burger that you want, but you color it in if you want it and you save $1. If you don't want it, you cross it out and you save $3 for wasting food. And I do not want pickles on my burger. Yuck. No pickles. So cross that out and I will save $3. I am happy to put those pickles in the garbage. They're almost as bad as mayonnaise. All right, let's see what's next. So up next is Janelle Ray Budgets, and this is her scratch and roll. So I've got 4 rolls left, and I'm rolling a d20 for this one as well. That was my choice. It was not mandatory to roll the d20. And I got 19 because, of course, I did on Janelle's challenge. I've been rolling a lot of high numbers. I got a couple low ones, but this was an 18 that I had to double. This was a 19 that I had to double. Here I rolled a 20, 10 a few times, so 19. So I will put a 1 back, and yes, I did it to myself. I don't blame Janelle at all. It's a beautiful challenge. I have just hit some unlucky rolls on the die that I chose, but that was my choice. Okay, so finish these 2, and now we're back to the front of the book. So we are going to finish Georgette, Kiss My Hiney, because I have 1 sticker left, and as always, I left it in the envelope. So I'm going to take out the sticker sheet. And for the last $5, we are going to kiss her right on the lips. Mwah! All right. So I will put back, let's see, I'll put back 45, and I will grab a 50. And then that will also get a challenge completed sticker. So with this challenge, there were stickers that were pre-printed with numbers, and then there were blank ones, and I made all the blank ones $5. Okay, so now the birds and the bees, and this is our last trip to this one as well. So we've got the bee, which is the dice hive, and it says you landed on a bee above, roll a d6, start at the top, and work your way down to the bottom. So this is like a Plinko challenge. And there's a bonus, and it says land on a number with an icon, add $1. Okay, so we're rolling. So we got a 1, and that has a honey pot, so that's $1. Next, a 6. Okay, nothing there. A 5, nothing there. But it's got an arrow on it, so I think we just move on down to the 3, and that's got an icon, so we save $1. And then it says go play at Wren's Aviary. Okay, so over here at Wren's Aviary, this is a d12 roll, so I will roll the d12. And we'll give this a roll. And we got number 8, and it says sum of 2 rolls, any dice. So I'm going to do what I did last time, and I'm going to roll the d4 and the d6. I got a 3 and a 6, so that's 9. So I'm going to take 1 back and put in a 10, so it'll be $11 for this challenge. This is by Mischief Managed Budgets and Champagne's Corner. So we're at $63 so far, and this one is done, so I am going to cross it off. And I am going to put 2 challenge completed stickers on it. I'm running out of these. I should have grabbed more, but that's okay. So that one, and that one. All right, moving on. Now we're back to 25 to thrive. So I think I am just going to finish this. I am going to check off 3 more boxes, or 3 more clouds rather, and I will put in $15. So 15 plus 10 is 25. 5. That is my last challenge completed sticker. I mean, I have more, I just don't have them handy. Okay. So now we're on this challenge, which is the D20, and I am just going to pull this out of the book. And let me go back and see if there's anything more that we need to do from the start of the book. I don't think there is. I think we're down to really the last few here. So these 2 are both completed. I didn't put a challenge completed sticker on this one, but I did finish it. These were from Marlene. Okay, Georgette is done. These 2 are done. Everything in here is done. Done, done. Done, done. So we've got the Rock and Roll Queen. We've got my challenge. Done, done, done. And we've got Janelle Ray Budgets. And that's it. Okay, so we've got 3 more challenges left to do. So let's finish the Rock and Roll Queen. And this is all going to be D4 dice rolls. So let's see how we do here. So we've got 3. And I probably should just write this down, huh? I think that's easiest. So let me grab a pen. Oh, you know what? I'm going to record it in here. I don't need that. So I'll just know that I'm recording from this one on. So we're doing 3. And a 2. A 3. A 1. A 3. A 2. Bless you. 1. 3. 4. And 3. Okay. So we've got 5, 8, 9, 12, 14, 15, 18, 22, 25. Okay, so 25 for this one, and this one is done. Okay, so 20, 25, so that's another 50, plus 50, so that's another 100, or 100. So technically, this is all I need to save for the week, but I'm at $103, and I'm really close to finishing the book, so I'm just going to keep going. And so I'm going to check this off. Okay. Up next, we're back to my challenge. So I am going to start by crossing out all the ones that I do not want. So let me get out Old Red here. I don't want mushrooms. Yuck. I don't want jalapenos. I don't want garlic. I don't want avocados, or avocados, but I say avocados. I don't want artichokes. I don't want an orange. I don't want guacamole, and I don't want coleslaw. But I will take salt, pepper, and pineapple. So that is a lot that I don't want. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 28, 29, $30. So a 20 and a 10. And then I will finish coloring all of this in. So we'll make some yellow pineapple here. You know me, I love pineapples. Well, maybe you don't know this, but a lot of people in the budget community know that I love pineapples. I don't necessarily like them to decorate with or anything, but they are one of my favorite fruits. Okay, and then salt and pepper. Let's see, we'll make pepper red and we'll make salt blue, because those are the 2 Sharpies that I have handy. So salt. Right outside the lines as typical. And then pepper. And I realize I did this backward. Salt was supposed to be blue and pepper was supposed to be red, but oh well. That's why they have letters on them, although you can barely see that P anymore. Okay. So I saved the $30, and Buster's Bangin' Burger Bar is done, which brings me to the last challenge that I still have to play, which is Janelle. So I've got 3 more D20 dice rolls left to go. And we've got a 10. And an 11. Okay. 10, 11. And the last roll of the challenge and the last roll of the book is a 1. How fitting. A 1. Okay. So 1 more dollar. So I am just going to flip through and make sure that I have, in fact, complete. Oh, I still got this one left to do. Oh, goodness. Well, this is going to be a much more expensive week. I probably should have let it roll on for one more week, but you know what? We're getting close, and I've got the money to do it because I had a big rollover from July and from August. So let's just make sure. Done, 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 done. I'm going to unclip these. So we'll go through everybody's challenges. Done and done, done and done, done and done, done and done, 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 done. This one's done, this one's done. Done and done. Done, 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 and done. So that's everybody. Okay, so the book is complete. So I am going to pop this challenge out because this is its own thing, and I need that paper clip back. So I'll set this aside, and we'll finish the D20. I said roll again if it's less than 5. I'm abandoning that rule. So if it's less than 5, I will just keep it. So we've got a 9. So I'm going to start putting some 1s back. Grab a 10. And a 19. Oh, goodness. 9, 19. So I'll put another 1 back and grab a 20. Roll again. 16. Oh, my goodness. 16. 10. 15. 16. This might be the biggest saver of all. 7. It's not bad. 5. 7. Another 7. 5. 7. I don't know why I keep recapping this marker. I should just leave it open. 20. Yay. And the very last roll for the very last challenge that I added, but it was technically part of the book, is 16. I was hoping for another 1. Well, as it turns out, I never rolled anything smaller than a 5 anyway. So 10, 15, and 16. So that is it for the life of a creator. So let's, and this is the thank you. So you've got everybody's challenge on the other side. So let's total all of this up and see how much we're going to put in there, and then how much total this book saved. So we've already got 100. Ones down here. Sorry, some of this is going to be off screen. 10, 20, 5, 2, 5, 2, 20, 10, 5, and 1. All right. So 20, 40, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So I'm going to put all these away and grab 100. 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 42, 44, 46, 47, 48, 49. Okay. So there's 9. So I'm going to put all of this back and grab 2 20s. So instead of putting $100 in this week, I put in 249. But we finished the book. So I need 2 20s. And then I will go back to the envelope and consolidate for a final total of how much the life of a creator saved us. So let's get everything in. So our grand total, let me put everything in order here. 20s, 5 and the 2s. All right, grand total is 2,000, 500, 600, 700, 800, 850, 870, 890, 909, right? 25, 26, 27, 28, 2,909. So almost $3,000 out of one savings challenge book. It was a lot of fun to participate in that. I'm glad I was able to contribute a challenge. I had a lot of fun doing everyone else's challenges as well as the ones that I put in there to kind of fluff it a little bit to add more challenges and make it last longer. So $2,909, that's almost half of what I put into my Roth IRA this year. So that book can save you a significant amount of money. Now, I kind of blazed through it, putting a lot of money toward it each week. But you can always take it slower, or you can go even faster if you want. There's a lot of places in the book where you can make the challenge your own. So that is it for the Life of a Creator. Next week, it'll just be Happy Hallowealth and the Paint by Sticker. If I need to save more money, which who doesn't, I may start the 100 envelope challenge, so be looking for that as well. But for now, let me grab out Happy Hallowealth and we'll make a run through that book. We're back in Happy Hallowealth, and we're going to save about another $100 into this savings challenge book as well. I've got the 3 spooky dice here standing at the ready, and I also need to get out my scratch tool because that is the first challenge that we will come to as a scratch off challenge. This is Black Cat Witch Hat, and this one is a 3 in a row game. So we just scratch until we find 3 in a row of either the black cats or the witch hats. But I'm going to use 3 spooky dice to tell me which spot to scratch. So we got a 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll scratch right here. We've got another black cat. So if this is a black cat, then we will save another $10 for making the 3 in a row, but we save $5 every time we scratch. So I'll put 5 there and clean this up. Excuse me. And you can get this on my Etsy shop. The spooky dice are limited, so I may not have any more by the time that this video airs. I was only able to get a certain number of them. They're an optional add-on. All right, next up is Double Double Toil and Trouble. And in this game, we roll 1d6 die. And if it is an even number, then we save that amount. And if it's an odd number, we double it and save that amount. So let's give it a roll. And we got a 6. So we will save $6 because 6 is even. Get out the pen here. Okay. So I'll put back 5 and take out 11. Moving on, we have Going Batty, and this is a sticker challenge, so I need to get out the sticker sheet. On you. Here we go. So I've got 4 bats down, so I'm back to, I think this was the original, or the first style of bat that I used. So I'll just stick that up here in the sky. And each bat sticker is $5, so I'll save another 5 for this one. Okay. Moving on, we have the Graveyard Shift, and this is a scratch and save challenge, so I'm going to use all 3 dice to tell me which one to scratch. We've got 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll go right here. And we're going to save $15 this time. Okay. Clean this up. And I'll put back a 5 and take out a 20. Next challenge, excuse me, is the Haunted House Heist, and there are 6 spots left to scratch, so I will just roll the die, 1 die. Got number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll go right down here. This is going to be $8. So 5. I'm going to take 1 back and grab out 2 2s. So 5, 7, 9, because we put the 1 in. Next challenge, number 6, is Mummy Money. And in Mummy Money, we roll a d6, and we first have to roll a 1 or a 2 to get the embalming fluid. Then we have to roll a 3 or a 4 to get the bandages, and then a 5 or a 6 to get the sarcophagus. Every time we have a bad roll, we save another $1. So let me get out the pen. There it is. And let's give it a roll, and let's see how many rolls it takes to get what we need to make the mummy. So first is a 3, so that's a bad roll, because we're looking for a 1 or a 2. A 6, so that's 2 bad rolls. And there's the 2. So we're going to circle the 2, and we had 2 bad rolls. Okay, now we're looking for a 3 or a 4. And we got a 3 right off the bat, so we'll circle the 3, and we had no bad rolls, so we'll just move right on to the sarcophagus. We're looking for a 5 or a 6. A 2, so 1 bad roll. A 4, 2 bad rolls. And a 5. So we're going to save the $5, and we had 2 bad rolls for this one. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 5 is 12, plus 2 is 14. $14 for Mummy Money. So let's see, what can I do here? 14 and 7, so that's 21 back. 7 down and add 21. And actually, I'm going to take the 2 20s and a 10 and exchange those for a 50. So we're at $53. Next up, we have Punkin' Chunkin', and this is a scratch challenge. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 left. So I'm going to roll 2 d6s, and that'll tell us which one to scratch. Number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right over here. And we got another whole pumpkin, and that'll be $2. There's only 3 of these, so I've got 1 whole pumpkin left after this. Okay, so saving 2, so I'm going to put 3 back and grab a 5. Okay, next is Raving About Saving. This is another sticker challenge, and I always go for the highest value first, which is going to be 13. So I'm going to take this $13 Raven, and we'll stick this one down here. Okay. Yeah. 10, 12, and 13. Okay, moving on to the next challenge. Roll the bones. So in this game, we roll 3 d6 dice, and the object is to roll either a 7 or a 13. So we save, let's see, we save $1 for every throw until we roll a 7 or a 13. And if we roll a 7 or a 13 on the first roll, which is what happened last time, then we save $5. So let's see how we do. And we got a 7 right off the bat. So we're going to save $5 again. And I will take back a, let's see, I'll take back 15 and put in 20. Okay. Slide this in here. Next up, Surf the Webs. So this one we're just going in order. So the next up is $3. So we'll cross off the 3. I will take the 2 back and save $5. This is a $100 challenge. It goes 1 through 10 and then 10 down through 1. Next is Trick or Treat. So I'm going to roll all 3 of these. If we get a piece of candy or a treat, then we save $1. If we get a poison, then we roll a d6 and save double the amount. So number 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Right down here. Maybe we'll get a treat this time. Nope, it's poison again. I promise you there are treats in here, but I just seem to get all the poison up front. Get it out of the way. Okay, so since we rolled poison, we need to roll a d6 and save double the amount. And of course, it's 6, so we're going to save $12. But at least it gets us the antidote, right? So we are at 88, I believe. Yep, $88. So we've got $12 left to save. And we're on to challenge number 12, which is Which. And this one is a match, a scratch and match. So I'm going to roll 3 d6 dice. So we've got 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we'll go right here. And what do you know? We have a match. So we match the witch that is directly above. So that is good. So we're going to save $5 for scratching and $5 for making a match, so $10 more. So now we're up to $98. We have $2 left to save. We're going to go back to the front. And we're going to do one more scratch on Black Cat Witch Hat. I'll roll all 3d6 dice, and hopefully we don't make 3 in a row. Okay, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can't make 3 in a row anywhere, so this is just going to be a $5 savings. So we'll give it a scratch here. And we've got another cat. So we've got lots of possibilities to make 3 in a row next time. Like here, here, or rather, here, 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 here. Yeah, so lots of possibilities. All right, but I need to save the $5. So that should have us at 103, which it does. I can't remember if I cleaned this off already or not, so I'm going to do it again. Or perhaps for the first time. We'll set the dice aside. $50, $70, $80, $90, $5, $100. So I'm going to put all of this away, and I will grab out a placeholder for the 100. I'm going to do one of my Sea Life placeholders, Barracuda, for $100. Looks like this is the last one that I made up, so I'll need to get more of those made. Or consolidate them into bigger placeholders in some of those challenges. That would be even better. So let's see. This is from The Life of a Creator. So this is my Happy Hallowealth. So we've got 100, 200, 300, 5, 7, 9, 10. So I'm going to put all of this back and grab a 10. So $310 for 3 tips through the book. This savings challenge book saves about $1,000, maybe a little more. Depends on how you do with the rolls. Okay, so that is it for Happy Hallowealth. Now I will get out the sticker book and we'll do another, we'll get started with the one for Holland, and I'll tell you a little bit more about my history with money. We're starting a new poster this week in the sticker book. So we finished Cairo last week, and now we're in Holland, and we're going to be putting together this big windmill. There are 150 stickers on this page, so I'll be doing this one over the course of 3 weeks, each week putting down about $50, or 50 stickers rather, and saving $2 per sticker or $100 per week. Last week, when we left off, I was talking about my mom having her heart attack in 2013. Because she was over 65, Medicare covered almost all the costs. There was very little out of pocket. So it wasn't so much of a financial burden in that regard, but it was a huge emotional toll on both of us. Because she didn't have anyone else really around her, or we didn't have anyone else around us, I ended up working from home for that entire year, really, the rest of it, the second half of the year. And I did that full time. I am to this day grateful that my company allowed me to do that because it wasn't the norm. This is 2013, so several years pre-pandemic. And working from home was something that was typically reserved for, at least in my industry, was reserved for people who were on the road a lot. So salespeople and executives and people who had to travel frequently. It wasn't for the rank and file. So she was recovering from her heart attack, and it wasn't just, there wasn't really a whole lot at home that I needed to do for her. But she had limits. So if you've ever cared for a cardiac patient before, typically after surgery, they have limits on how much they can lift for a period of time. And it's around 2 pounds. And so anything heavier than that, I had to lift it. So I needed to do all of the laundry. I needed to do all of the shopping. So, and I don't drive. So it was more a case of she would drive and I would go with her and I would do all of the shopping and pushing the cart while she just kind of walked around the store for the exercise, more or less. I also had to pump gas because gas handles are heavy. And so I certainly didn't mind doing that for her, but it was just a different lifestyle for both of us, and it was a difficult adjustment. One of the things that I remember is going to Costco one day, and I hate going to Costco. Um, Mostly because, well, I mean, realistically, what I don't like is when people go to Costco to browse, and I'm not talking about the impulse buy areas where that's kind of the name of the game. I'm talking about the aisles that have the staples, things like ketchup and coffee and toilet paper and things like that. And people stand there wide-eyed as they stare at the two brands. There's this name brand and the store brand, one of each. Pick. This is not trying to decide from among 20 different varieties here. It's one or the other. And they block the aisle, and of course there's kids who run amok, and it's loud and it's crowded, and it's just not for me. But my mom enjoyed it. She wanted to go to Costco, so okay, let's go to Costco. And I remember she was we were in near the front of the store, and I was looking at multivitamins, I think, or something. And I turned around just to ask her a question about, whether she thought this particular thing I picked up was something that would be good or whatever. And she had picked up a 5-pound container of mixed nuts. And I quickly put back what was in my hands and I snatched the container of nuts out of her hands and I started scolding her right there in Costco. And she looked very contrite. And as I was practically wagging my finger at her, I kind of stopped and I thought, I'm the parent now. Our roles had completely reversed. She was the helpless one, and I was the grown up. And that was kind of one of those watershed moments that you have in your life when you've gone along far enough in life, and you come to one of these realizations that okay, things are different now. And especially when it's your parents, it can be a really profound experience. So I would go with her to all of her cardiology appointments and anything where she needed my support. I didn't go with her to the labs so much, but any office visit where she was working with a consulting physician, then I would be there. About 2 months into her recovery, so now we're talking about July, maybe August, she found another lump. And this time it was in her armpit, but it was on the same side of her body, her left side, as her previous two occurrences of cancer were. So we made an appointment with oncology, and she had all these different scans done. She had a bone density scan done. She had MRIs. She had I can't even remember how many mammograms. I don't think I could have counted how many of those she had to examine this lump that she had found. And the thing is it wasn't in the breast tissue because it was way up in her armpit, but because it was in the same general area and because it was a third occurrence, a second recurrence, it was diagnosed as recurrent breast cancer. So that kicked off a flurry of more appointments. So still following up with cardiology post heart attack, and now also with oncology, and of course the primary care and a surgeon who was going to remove this lump, and just one thing after another. It was a lot, and this carried on for several months. And I knew that she felt guilty about being a burden on me. She told me this once as I was giving her a hug and she was sobbing in my arms. So it was a really difficult time for her and for me. And I told her, it's going to be okay. Don't feel guilty. I'm here. You were here for me throughout my whole childhood, so now it's my turn. And, all of the things that you say, and it's from the heart. But at the same time, knowing that, watching someone lose hope is really the hardest thing. It really is. Because she told me that she was thinking about just, giving up the fight and just letting things take their course. And she asked me what I would do, and I said I would fight. But I was saying that as a 31-year-old man at the time, not someone who had, was more than twice my age, had been through quite a lot in her life, and was really getting tired of the whole thing. So, um, this carried on, like I said, for several months. We made it through Christmas and New Year's, and then she died on February 3rd, 2014. Now, there's a couple things that are significant about that day. First of all, it was her mother's birthday. So I think that's kind of poetic in a way. The other thing is that it is the day after the Seahawks won their first Super Bowl. So our first Super Bowl win was February 2nd, 2014, Groundhog's Day, and then she was gone the next day. She was supposed to give me a ride to work that day because we had been out late the night before at bingo and playing some of the slots. And she had asked me if I wanted to stay later, and I said, okay, but you've got to give me a ride to work tomorrow because, otherwise, me on the bus, I was going to get in late. So she said, okay. And she never got to take me to work that day because, she died overnight, and then I found her in the morning when she didn't get up to take me to work. So that is the hard news. And that was a pivot point. I had to get through, of course, all the grief. I was managing her affairs. I wouldn't call it an estate. She died intestate and insolvent, meaning that she owed more than she had, and she did not leave a will or any kind of instructions behind. So it was a really difficult period for me because I had to do most of it myself. I did have a cousin who flew in from the St. Louis area, and she stayed with me for a while and helped out a great deal, especially since she rented a car. But eventually, she had to fly home. She had her own life. She had a husband. She had two kids who were teenagers. So, I was grateful for the time that she spent with me. And then I got very sick as well. So it was all around just a wretched time. By the time that my mom died, I was 32. I had just turned 32 the month before. And, my life to that point, my adult life to that point, from pretty much the minute I graduated high school on, had revolved around seeing to her needs. Any spare energy that I had, I just devoted to building my career. Otherwise, I was, kind of at her beck and call. I did move out, but I never went far. And, that first cancer diagnosis, like I said in an earlier episode, came right after my high school graduation. And so, I'd been dealing with it all my adult life. And now suddenly I didn't have those worries anymore. It took a while for the worry to go away because you've been in it for so long that for me, nearly 13 years, excuse me, that I just, kind of would have these moments of, oh, she had this doctor's appointment coming up, and then realizing, oh, I actually need to call and cancel that appointment for her. So, in addition to my life being on hold, my financial life, to get back to the main point of these talks, had been on hold for most of my adult life, right? I had the credit card debt from the not being able to qualify for student loans in my early college career. I had student debt from my later college career. The Great Recession came on. I got sick. As soon as I got better, mom got sick. She had her first cancer recurrence. And then 2 years after that was over, she had the heart attack and then cancer a third time. So it was kind of one event after another. There was always another shoe to drop. And I felt like just when I would get my feet back from under me, the life had other ideas. There's a saying about man makes plans and God laughs or something like that. And that's kind of what it felt like. I didn't feel like the Almighty was out to get me or anything like that. But there were trials. I had my share. Everyone has their share. Certainly, a lot of people have it a lot worse than I did, and I'm grateful that my situation wasn't worse. A lot of people don't get 32 years with their mom, and I got those, and I made the most out of every single day. So, in addition to being sad, I also was grateful for the time that I had had. Um, but in the wake of her passing, I realized I really didn't know who I was because so much of my identity had been wrapped up in either taking care of mom, recovering from an illness that I had, or investing in my career, trying to keep my working life going despite all these setbacks. So, um, most people, their young adult lives are when they go exploring and they learn who they are. They maybe even find a mate. But I didn't. I was tethered. So I don't resent anyone or anything for that. That was just my experience. So I had to do this about 10 years later than everyone else in my peer group. So one of the things that I decided I wanted to do was to move to Seattle. I was living in the suburbs, which is where my mom and we had cohabitated. It was to the point that she was living with me. I was paying most of the expenses. Um, but I decided I was done and I wanted to live in the big city, which for me is Seattle. Mom had a life insurance policy, and I won't say exactly how much it was, but I will say that it was in the high five figures and it was so big that I thought they had misplaced a decimal point when I got the check. But um, it wiped out all my debt. It got rid of all the student loans. It got rid of all the credit cards. And I still had, something like $10,000 left over. So I packed up all my stuff and moved to the city. I was also behind on my goals, like saving for retirement. So I started contributing to my 401k, but I was still, clueless on how to manage my money because I'd never had any money before. That check that I got from the insurance company was more money than I'd had at one point in my life ever. And I was still struggling with my identity. And when you don't have a solid foundation in who you are, that money just fritters away. So it didn't take long for it to go. I was still going to play bingo and going to the casino, the things that I had done with mom. And not because I especially enjoyed it, but I enjoyed spending time with her and she enjoyed it. It was her escape from having to worry about her health, her financial situation, anything else that was going on in life. It was an escape. And so I kind of used it the same way. So I became addicted to gambling, but not in the same way or not for the same reason that most people do. Most people are in it because they think they can beat the house or because they made a few bad bets and they're always chasing money or, any number of other reasons. For me, I missed my mom. And so that was my reason for going. So, as most people who have paid off debt all in one swell swoop can relate, when that happens from a windfall, like if you win the lottery or whatever, eventually the debt comes back. But first it goes out and recruits some friends. So it didn't take long. It was within 2 years after mom had died that I was back in debt and I had more than I had the first time. And it was on stupid shit. I was spending all that money on gambling. Every bad financial decision you can make, I had made. I had taken out, so the three worst, in my opinion, are taking out a payday loan, taking a credit card advance, cash advance, and taking a loan on your retirement account. And I'd done all three more than once. I am not proud of that, but that's what I did to feed my addiction. And so after a year and a half of that, I was done. I decided I was going to move back out of the city, back to the suburbs, and relaunch my life from there. I just needed a place that was quiet, where I could do some reflection, figure out who I was, what I wanted out of life, and get myself back on track, or on track, really. So the first thing I did was I took a second job as a typist. I type about 125 words per minute clocked. And so I started doing transcription. And back then it was big business and good money. And because I was good and because I was consistent, I was getting, first dibs on a lot of jobs. And I just kept whacking away at it. And I was earning probably another $200 to $300 a week doing that at the time. And so every few days, I would make a list of all my bills and all my creditors. And I mean, it was everything from my cell phone plan to the rent to, all the credit cards, anybody that I had a loan with, anything. And I would write out when the next payment was due and how much it was for and whether it was current or not. And I mean, if I was ever feeling stressed about money, I would just take out a clean sheet of paper and I would write down the whole list. I had the exact order memorized and I would just go look up all my balances and then I would think, okay, how am I going to get there from here? And so at one point, I realized that I had more in debt than my gross earnings for the year. So, in other words, if I were somehow able to spend if every dollar that I earned to my creditors for an entire year, I still would not be out of debt. And that's before factoring in interest, and that's before factoring in any of the other expenses that I had coming out of my paycheck: taxes, insurance, retirement contributions, rent, food, anything. Um, so I worked really hard at it. Any bonus that I got, I put toward my debt, and by the time 2018 rolled around, I was down to about $20,000, which to me felt amazing. I was kicking myself for having gotten back into debt, but at the same time, I knew that I was on my way to being debt free. And it just goes to show, my story goes to show how anybody can land in that pit, no matter how noble your intentions are. I started accumulating debt, as I covered in a previous episode, because I couldn't get student loans. So my junior college, a lot of those expenses went on credit cards. And then as soon as I finished my 4-year degree, I got sick. So medical bills went on credit cards. Plus, I had then student loan debt from junior college and the university. And as I've been saying, if you don't have a clear idea of your identity, the money just fritters away. It just evaporates and it leads to the debt coming back. So, um, after I dug myself out the second time, I knew I had to get smart about money. But I also didn't know where to turn or whom to trust, really. So, I'm going to talk more about that next week. I'll talk about where I just, after digging out of the hole, it's like, okay, now you can see daylight again, but where do you go? And you can go in any direction, and um, with no map or no compass, I had to figure all of that out on my own. So next week, I'll talk about how I did that, and that will be a much more uplifting chapter because, no matter how far in debt you are or how many times you've been in debt, there is always hope. There is always a way. I firmly believe that. So, um, next week's episode, like I say, will be much less sad. We're through the really sad parts. And so I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me this week and every week. That really does mean a lot. And I am looking forward to speaking more next week about how I learned to take control of my money and really take control of my life. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and until I see you in the next one, which will be next Wednesday, take care.